Hi everyone, so today we're going to be solving quadratic equations again. I know, so fun. So let's just remember that a quadratic equation is in the form, or a quadratic function is in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, that's standard form. And we know it's a quadratic when the highest exponent is a 2, so it's a quadratic equation. And so far we've learned that the methods for solving a quadratic equation are by factoring and by completing the square. We learned a little bit about completing the square in the video number 1. Today's part 2, and we're going to look at solving by completing the square when it's slightly harder, okay? So slightly harder when the coefficient of the a squared term, so of the x squared term, so when the a is greater than 1. Now, the process is still the same, except we have to do one more thing, okay? First, we still just want to get it complete the square ready by bringing the constant to the other side. But then comes this most important part. You have to factor out the leading coefficient. And I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? That is the most important part. And you only have to do this when the x squared term is greater than 1. Leading coefficient, okay? You have to factor out the leading coefficient. So let me show you. So we have 2x squared minus 12x minus 7 equals 0. So it's set equal to 0. Remember, it could be set equal to y. If it was set equal to y, I need to set it equal to 0 to solve it. So now to complete the square, I look at it and I see that the coefficient is not a 1. So that means that I have to think about that most important part. But first, I'm going to get it complete the square ready by getting that 7 to the other side and leaving room. So 2x squared minus 12x equals 7. Leave room, equals 7. All right, now I have to factor out the 2. So the 2 comes out to the front, and you're left with x squared minus 6x. All right, now we complete the square like we normally would. We take half of 6, we disregard the sign. Half of 6 is 3, and then we square it, and we get 9. All right, now this is the different part. Okay, so we have this. Now we actually didn't add just 9 to the equation. We added 9 times that 2 that we originally took out. So what we do to the other side is we multiply the 9 by that outer term of a 2, which is 18, and we add 18 to the other side, okay? So that's that harder part. So again, we multiply whatever we put in to make it a perfect square trinomial, we multiply it by that number we factored out, and then we add that value to the other side. All right, now we complete the square as we normally would. We turn this into the square of a binomial. Remember, we take the square root of x squared, which is x, the square root of 9, which is 3, and the sign of the middle term. We simplify the right side, so 18 plus 7 gives me 25. All right, now, we do have to do what we normally do to solve these quadratics. We can't take the square root until we get rid of that 2. So we are going to divide both sides by 2. So now we have x minus 3 quantity squared equals 25 over 2. We're going to leave it as a fraction, okay? Leave it as a fraction. Now we take the square root of both sides. Remember, when we do that, we have to consider the absolute value of x, so we have to do plus or minus. So x minus 3 equals plus or minus. Well, remember, this is the square root of 25 all over the square root of 2. So we have 5 over root 2. Now, we do want to simplify that, so we're going to rationalize it by multiplying by root 2 over root 2. And so we have plus or minus 5 root 2 over 2. And then we're going to add the 3 to the other side. And we're going to put it in the front. So 3 plus or minus 5 root 2 over 2, okay? Now, I know that's a crazy looking answer, and we are going to be talking about that crazy looking answer in class tomorrow. But that's the process of completing the square. All right, now so you're back. So you had 3x squared minus 6x minus 12. So first you got to complete the square ready by adding 12 to the other side. All right, then we saw that the coefficient was not 1, so we had to factor out a 3. leaving us with x squared minus 2x. We look at that number 2, we take half of it, which is 1. We square it, which is also 1. And then to get what we add to the other side, we have to remember that we have to multiply that 1 by 3. So we're going to add 3 to the other side. We turn the left into the square of a binomial. So x minus 1 squared equals, we simplify the left and get 15. We divide both sides by 3. Okay, Coach Fred made this one a nice one for you. So x minus 1 squared equals 5. We take the square root of both sides, remembering when we take the square root, we have to consider both a positive and negative answer. So we put a plus minus in front of that root 5. And then we add the 1 and we put it in front of the plus minus. So x equals 1 plus or minus root 5. We remember that that means there's 2 distinct answers, 1 plus root 5 and 1 minus root 5. And that's how you complete the square when the a term is greater than 1. Good night, guys.